Hello everyone, Kingdom Kid here with another Persona discussion video. I wanted to do this one a little earlier than I actually kind of wanted to do it around the same time that I did my, hey, let's talk about the upcoming projects that Persona is doing and the announcements that some of them are going to be coming out in September. Now I'm really excited for all of that stuff. I cannot wait, and I'm going to try my best to hopefully react to all that stuff at some point. When it gets announced, hopefully I'm still home and I can record reactions, be like, oh shit, here's a trailer for this. I'm like, okay, let's check it out. It's here's a trailer for Persona remake, Persona 1 and 2 remake, or whatever it is. But that's in September. That's coming up. What I want to talk about now is Persona 6 and some of the things I would like to see happen in Persona 6 that somewhat differentiates from what we've seen in Persona 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, this is all just stuff that I would like to see done if they follow the same formulas, oh, you're a transfer student, you're in high school, that's fine. I just want them to mix it up a little bit. That being said, here, let's start off with that one right there. Transfer student. I do not want you to be a transfer student. I don't want you to be a transfer student at all. I totally understand why it is in the past games you've been transfer students, because hey, you need to develop bonds with with the people that will be your party members and such. I totally understand why, because bonds, social links, and all that stuff. So it really helps. Okay, you're a new kid, so it really helps that these are people you do not know. However, they make it work in Persona 1, 2, and Persona 2 Remake in a way. It's oh, these are people you know, but you didn't really get along with them. At least that's how it was in Persona 2. It's in Persona 2, it's oh, these were your classmates, but it's you never really hung out too much, but then you kind of just get thrusted into the situation at hand. While I believe Persona 1 is you were all classmates and you were all kind of close together, even with your teacher. So that being said, I want you to be a third-year student. I want you to be a third-year student, and if we are staying in the high school setting, I know people are hey, I want to see a college life one. I wouldn't be mine with that, but if we had to stay in a high school setting, I want you to be a third-year student and kind of revolve around you going to college. That's what I'd like to be. That's hey, let's take another step in your life. I think a lot of the Persona fans are okay, we've been through the whole second years. Let's be through at least a third year or a college life. A different set of time would be great. That being said, so not a transfer student, so you've been at whatever school your entire life. That's your school that you've been to your entire life. I would love to see that happen. But then you can still develop bonds with people. I would love hey, it's hey, maybe a transfer student comes in and you kind of develop a bond with them, whether they be a party member or not. Who all knows? You can still do your classes, your clubs. You can do all that stuff. So I would like to see that too. If not, another thing I would like to see done is a new homeroom teacher, and that teacher gets tied into the situation. Maybe they're kind of the, you know how you kind of start off with 3 party members and a navigator. I would actually like that teacher to be a part of that group. We kind of got a glimpse of that in Persona 5 Strikers, but that's not the first case where an adult has been a party member in a Persona series. Persona 2, going back to Persona 2, you've kind of had majority of your party members, I believe, were all adults or in the working field. Except I think for the main 3 was yourself, Lisa, I think her name was, and I can't remember the blue hair guy. I think, and then eventually you get another party member that was a high school student. So I believe it was just you 4 that were all high school students, and then I believe 3 or 4 more party members were technically adults. So I like to have adult party members. I don't want a whole, hey, you're only high school student adults. I would actually love the teacher, your homeroom teacher, being a part of it. Either them being the navigator and then eventually evolving into a party member, kind of how Mitsuru did it, how Teddy did it, how they didn't really do it that way in Persona 5. Morgana was kind of the navigator, but it was still fighting with you. But I wouldn't mind that. It's hey, maybe the teacher's oh, well, okay, I'm... or maybe they just stayed that role the entire time. They're always the navigator. I don't care. I would love it to just have a couple of adults. And that would also tie into, you being a third year student. Like you could get more adults, or even a college students, like you can get more adults. I mean, you're technically an adult when you're in college, so that helps out too. If I'm basically going over some of the things first, like the settings of the character first, before I get into some of the nitty gritty of stuff. Another thing I actually wouldn't mind seeing is like maybe you're a teacher. You, the character, is a teacher in a high school, and it's like your first year. So that can help you develop bonds with some of the students, maybe some of the other teachers. That would be a nice thing too. I think that'd be great, maybe. And that also play into the fact like, okay, you're technically, yes, it's still the high school setting. Yes, it's still the school setting. You need to have that kind of a setting, I believe. So I think that works. It's like if you're a teacher, hey, you come up with the classes and such. I don't know how they'll do it with like the tests and like, things like, hey, answer this question. I don't know. Maybe you've gotta like, they could tie it all in. It's like you being the first time you being a teacher, they can all tie into that. It's like, oh, you're getting nervous and all that stuff. So I don't mind that. Will I still play if you're a second year student? Of course I will. Will I still play if you're a transfer student? Of course I will. It's a Persona game that's basically my #1 favorite video game series. It's up there. It's like in my top 5 for sure. You got Yakuza, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Persona. It's there. But I wanted them to do something new, something different. Like I said, third year student, you going through the whole entrance exams for colleges, you going through your life as a third year. I think that'd be a nice, interesting touch. Or, in college, or, in the working field, like a teacher. I think that would all work out great. Now let's talk about some of the, not the smaller details, let's talk about some of the things like social links and relationships like that. First things first, I don't mind if this is the first one where you kind of become a female character, that'd be great. That'd be cool, I don't mind that. But male or female, either way, it's fine. I want there to be some kind of bi-gay relationships. I think we are at that point where we can have that. They were really pushing it with Yusuke in Persona 5. Like, it's such a shame. Like, people were like, why can we not romance this guy? Hell, even Persona 2, it's kind of really hinted that the main character and another character of the same sex are kind of like, okay, they're kind of like, could be in a relationship. It's a big deal type thing. So they're really pushing. So I feel like Persona 6 should be the first introduction, even though technically we should have got it in 5, maybe even in 4. 4, there was clips that like make it basically sound like there were hidden files within, I don't know if it's regular Persona 4 or Golden, where it's like, these are lines that like, if you were confessing to Yosuke in Persona 4. So I feel like they've had so many like hints and stuff like that, that's like, I think it's time that we can have same-sex relationships in a Persona game. Because it's, by the time this game comes out in like 2025, at the earliest I'm saying 2025, the world is going to be different. And I feel like, I mean, it is acceptable now, but it's still not as acceptable as it should be. But hopefully by then, it's like, it's fine. It should be fine by now, like I'm saying. That's what I like to see. I also would like it to see in some shape or form, I know it'd be super hard, but like somewhat tie it in to the story in a way if you're in a relationship with someone. That's probably why they will never do, now that I'm thinking about that, like if you're a teacher and your party members are students, they probably will never, because that's really frowned upon. Now granted, yes, that was our teacher with a student, as us a student, but that's here nor there. That's another can of worms. But if you get in a relationship with someone, I want there to be like tie-ins. Yes, you kind of do get some tie-ins here and there, like in Persona 4. I can't remember exactly the situation. It's more so in Golden. It was like, oh yeah, like when they go to that shrine festival things, like, oh, they go as a group, but then the next day you can go with a girl, with one of the party members or one of the other girls. And then the day after that, there was fireworks. And like, well, there was a bus, and then you can kind of say, it's like, well, I had a blast the next day. It's like, what do you mean? Like, there's small things like that. And then, of course, Valentine's Day is always the big deal one. Like, that's the really one that really gets issues. Like, hey, you have multiple girlfriends, they're all here for you, and it kind of sucks. It's like you get either the shit kicked out of you in Persona 5, or holy crap, you have to face the disappointment of all the girls in Persona 4. Persona 3, they didn't really touch too much on that because they didn't really do a Valentine's Day because you were dead before Valentine's Day happened, or Valentine's Day did happen, but they didn't really have a thing for it. So I wouldn't mind if there was some way that they can. I know it'd be super hard because there's like there could be like 8 potential love interests plus. I don't have to. Going back to the whole gay situation, you don't. If you're a male, I say you don't have to have all social links with males be potential love interests. Maybe the party member ones for sure, or maybe just 2 of them. I'm kind of really thinking in terms of Fire Emblem here, more so with 3 houses, and I'm going to touch more about that later on too. In Fire Emblem 3 houses, it's unfortunate that you can only be gay with, I believe, 1 male, or there wasn't that many gay interests if you were the male Byleth character. I know for sure it was with can't remember his name from the Black Eagle house, but that was one. I believe Claude was the only one of the 3 that you could do that with as a male, but I'm not sure. And then I think there was like one other in the Golden Deer house that you could do it with. And then eventually a DLC they brought more that you could do it with. But I digress, they should have had more options. And again, you don't have to have like every single male be a potential love interest for a male main character. Female main character, of course, and then have a few female characters. Like I said, maybe just the party members, it could go with that, because I'll be honest, I know a lot of people sometimes do go outside of the party, but for me personally, it's like, I feel like you would really develop a relationship with a member of the party. So I feel like if they can have at least the gay options of the party members, that's great. Kind of going back to 3 houses in a way. And of course, this happened in all the other Fire Emblem games as well. I want more interactions between party members outside of story stuff. You know, kind of similar, like they have their own social links in a way, kind of like how there's bonding between the Fire Emblem characters in Fire Emblem. You know, it's like it's not just, oh, here's the character bonding with all the other characters, but like, oh, hey, this character can bond with that character and such, and then they have their own bonding things. I don't know how they would implement that in such a way. I know it would be a big thing to do, but that's one of the things I would like to see, is like, I would like to see your party members, you know, developing bonds between themselves, not just between you and them. And then not this whole, hey, we're the big group, you know, when you get close to the end of the game, it's like, hey, we are coming up, we're overcoming the bad thing, and we're all here as a group, as a friends, as family, and yada, yada, yada. I would like it at some point, like, they just have their own little things, like, hey, maybe, maybe they just run each other, and they're like, oh, hey, you want to just hang out for a little bit? It's like, sure, or whatever. Like, you could do that, like, maybe have that, like a couple of times when it's like, oh, have that be a reason, like, oh, hey, you can't hang out with me today because I'm hanging out with so-and-so. So it's like, you know, this is just Persona 5 as an example. It's like, oh, I want to hang out with Ryuji today. And Ryuji's like, I can't. I actually have plans with we're going to go to the library and study. And then maybe you can kind of like see a little cutscene of that. It doesn't have to be as long as a normal social link thing. It could be like a nice little like 1 to 2 minute, be like, oh, well, we were studying this, and then they're like, give up. Like, just a nice little thing about that. That I don't want to say you kind of have to go out of your way, but just like, if you talk to them, you'd be like, oh, we're meeting with On, then, you know, Fate's Black and that person's no longer there. Then you can like go to the library or go to like wherever they say, and then you can kind of be like, watch them. I know, as weird as that sounds, but like, you can be like, oh, hey, you see On and Ryuji in the library. Do you want to just see how they're doing? And you like, you know, and then Fate's Black, and then it's in the library, and you see them studying and have their own moments. You're like, oh, but it's like, that's the wrong answer. It's like, oh, well, you can help me with this and that. It's like them having a bond like that. I think that'd be great. They somewhat touch on that in Royal, in a way. It wasn't that great, because it's like, oh, hey, here's one scene, and it's like, hey, I've been thinking about a showtime to do with you and such. So they kind of touched about that in a little bit, but not as much as you would hope. And again, I don't want it to have ties into like the store, not the store. How do I want to say it? I don't want it to be combat related. It's like, oh, hey, the only reason I'm talking to you right now is because I'm developing a new strategy and a new fighting style, and I think you'd be perfect for this role with me. I just want them to be acting like teenagers, or friends, So somehow implementing Fire Emblem bonding amongst your own party members would be great as well, and even people outside your party, like they somewhat did in Persona 3 in a way. It was Junpei and Kenji, or whatever the magician dude in 3 was. I can't remember his name. They're like, oh, hey, here's this guy. And then, like, every now and then you kind of, like, talk to them. It's like, oh, well, Junpei, you did this and this. And it's like, it's just be nice to see interactions between their party members and maybe some people outside the party, depending on the situation. So I know there's some other stuff, too. Like, but those are, like, kind of the big... And going back to the whole, I want your relationship to kind of, like, get a little more of a tie-in type thing. Like, maybe be it, like... At some point in the story, if you're in a relationship with someone, there could be like a secret third option that shows up, but only if you're in a relationship with someone. Maybe someone in the party, outside the party, doesn't matter. Be like, well, we're all going there. Because, like, that's the thing, is like, well, we're all single guys here, but then the next, like, we're all single here at this festival, and then the next day it's like, well, we're not single, we're together, because, we're high enough in the social link. We're at rank 9, which is you can be boyfriend and girlfriend. Maybe that could be another thing too. Maybe they make the relationship earlier in the social link. Maybe at like rank 6 or 7. I feel like 9 is way, because it depends on who it is too. And that's another thing too. Now, I love the party members coming in late, but you could be like, oh, that girl right there, you know what, I like her, and I'll be in a relationship with her. And then you get the relationship with her, but then you haven't even met the whole entire cast yet, and then you get to like the last female character, and you'd be like, well, damn, I actually like this person a lot better. But I'll stick with it. So that's another thing too. So, or maybe they can just kind of not tie the relationship into the social links. They could do that too. I don't know how then you can make it into a, hey, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend that's not tied to the social links. I'm sure there's a way you can do that. Like I said, they probably won't change any of that stuff to the stuff I'd like. I think it'd be cool if they did, but I digress. Well, I'm still going to play it if they do it the way that Persona 5 is, 3 and 4. Of course I am. It's a Persona game. Freaking love those games. I'm excited to play whatever is coming up. But that's just some of the things I would like to have change going from 5 to 6. Is like, I think a lot of people are getting tired of the high school setting. I'd say the only way it'd be acceptable, in my opinion, for me, is if you're a teacher at a high school, because duh, it'll be different because you're an adult, or you're a third year, because then it's a bit different, and you're not a transfer student. You're not a transfer student as well. So that's just a few things I like to change, but those are like the big things. Of course, there's some other things I like to see change here or there, but that's a big thing. Change the setting. No longer second year. No longer transfer student. Third year, been there the entire time, or a teacher, or in college. Like, I feel like if we're going to stick with the whole school setting, because I feel like that's a good passage of time, you need to change it up. Be it either in college, third year, or a teacher at the school, because I feel like that'd be great. I want bonding between the comrades. I want the social links to be different between your party members. Maybe take out being in the relationship outside of the thing. Now, if you're in a relationship with someone inside their social links, they can kind of tie that in too. Again, that's a lot of work they have to do, but I feel like they have so much time that they can try to at least implement some of these things. But I digress. Yeah, just I don't want to make it similar to Fire Emblem at all, but I do want some Fire Emblem elements inside Persona, and I think that would really work out. But you guys, let me know what you want to see in Persona 6 and maybe the future in the entire series, because I don't want them to just keep going, oh, second year transfer, second year transfer, second year transfer. I don't want them to see that. I think Persona 6 should be a good evolving point, because Persona 5 really knocked it out of the park, and it got a lot more eyes on the series. And then of course you have Royal, and then with Persona 6 coming out who knows when, I feel like that can definitely put a lot more eyes on the series as well, but I feel like they should change it up a little bit. Change it to be a third year, change you to be a non-transfer student, change you to be someone in college, an adult, as a teacher. I don't know. I digress. But anyway, guys, that's just some of the things I'd like to see happen in Persona 6. Will we get them? Probably not. Will we get some of them? Maybe. Who knows? But guys, the one thing I hope that we get, regardless of if we get basically Persona 5 all over again, you know, the same settings and such, the one thing I hope that we get is gay relationships, same-sex relationships, because I feel like we're at that time where it can happen and it's totally fine. Like, no one should bat an eye at it anymore. No one should bat an eye at it right now either. Be like, oh, okay, I'm happy for those people. But I digress. So yeah, guys, let me know what you'd like to see happen in Persona 6 as a sequel. And of course, I would like little Easter eggs as well. Like, oh, hey, here's a little Easter egg of on a magazine. Here's a little Easter egg of Yusuke's painting in this museum or something. Again, I don't want it to be too far into the future, but like maybe have it be 2 to 3 years afterwards. I mean, it's going to be really hard because we don't even have a year for Persona 5, even though people say it's like, I know it's 2016. So maybe 4 years, I don't know. It's something that's like, you can't really, it's whatever. That's another thing, I've already talked about that before, but I digress. But yeah, let me know what you guys would like to see in Persona 6. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.